Okay, so I've made a few copies, adjusted the sizes, and there's one more panel type we need to create. Is these vertical doors here. They look like essentially these ones, but without the central part. Okay, maybe let's make them from these glass doors. Okay, let's make a copy. Okay, go down. And adjust the size. Okay, wrong modifier. Let's redo that with these ones. Okay, so the basic frame looks good. Let's add another edit poly. And I'm gonna delete this polygon on the top and this one on the bottom. Okay, and bridge these together. Okay, so that should give us the central part. And add another UVW map modifier. Right, and just rotate it vertical. Looks good. Make a copy. And move the UV map around. Okay, so they don't look the same. Okay, so here is another element that's a bit different. These are the fridge doors. And you will notice there's sort of a frame around them. Right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a rectangle. Let's unfreeze the plants and snap to these points here. Okay. Now let's make a simple profile. Maybe something like this. Right, well, let's reset the vertices to corner and use bevel profile. Okay, again, rotate 180 degrees. Right. Actually, let's take this profile and modify it slightly. Let's move these parts out. And this part in. Like this. Right. Now let's convert it to editable poly. And move the vertices. Like this. Okay. And I'm also going to add a simple handle. Make a line from the top view and give it a rectangular profile. Let's set it 2 by 2. Maybe 1.5 by 1.5. Right, and collapse editable poly. Move up. And increase the size to fit the vertical dimensions of the door. It's a bit too large, I think. Maybe let's make it smaller. And let's chamfer all the edges. Okay. Let's select this simple frame object and chamfer all the long edges. Just by 1 millimeter. And let's attach these pieces together. Right. Okay, now I'm gonna assign the brass material placeholder to this object. And make a mirrored copy. And move it to the other door. Right. Okay, so that's good. Right, and there's also this corbel element bracket. Sort of something like in these island drawings here. Okay, let's make something similar. Let's start with the line tool. I'm going to turn off the profile. And let's start with this main part. Right. Convert to editable spline. Okay. I think we can collapse it to editable poly. Right, now let's select the one and only polygon that we have here and insert it to match our drawing, like this. And now let's use the cut tool to add some additional edges. Basically, we want to avoid any polygons that have more than 4 vertices. Okay. Let's use the shell modifier now to give it some thickness. Doesn't matter if it's too precise or not. Let's collapse editable poly. And let's extrude these polygons inwards. Like this. Okay. And let's inset the whole group slightly. Maybe 2 times. Right, so now the corner should be sharp. Let's select these outer edges, select loop. Now let's chamfer them. just a little bit, and increase segments to 2, like this. Right, and finally these two edge loops as well. Loop and chamfer with the same settings. Okay, now when you add turbo smooth modifier, it looks pretty good. Okay, so the backside is wrong. We're gonna fix that now. And we're gonna use the symmetry modifier. Set it to the correct axis with the center point. Looks about right. Okay. Okay, and let's add another edit poly, just about the symmetry. And let's try to insert this part now. All right, extrude it inwards. And insert a couple of times. A very small value. Right, and now let's try to chamfer these edge loops now. Okay, now let's look closer at the corners and let's try to fix this part. I'm gonna use the cut tool. And connect the edges like this. I'm gonna take the mess on the inside. I'm gonna get rid of it. Right, nice and clean. Okay, let's chamfer this edge loop as well. Let's clean this upper corner. Again, the same procedure as on the lower part. I'm just trying to make a nice clean mesh here. And getting rid of all the unnecessary edges. Looks good. Like there are some issues over here. Check from the side view. Move it down. And here I'm gonna move down as well. Trying to match the overall shape of the object itself. Right. Let's see what's going on here. Maybe let's try to collapse these two edges. Okay, looks much better. say on the bottom here. And collapse them as well. Okay, so nice and clean. And let's add symmetry again. I'm going to copy this modifier and paste it. Alright, looks like there are some problems. I'm going to offset the center to create a new center point. Looks like the symmetry modifier is welding too much. So I'm going to reduce the weld threshold for the symmetry, and now it looks just fine. Right, so that's the bracket. Let's collapse it to the symmetry modifier. And use the FFD 2x2 modifier to give it some taper. Okay, looks fine. Let's make the lower part. Probably a simple box like this. Check from this side. Okay, let's add some more edges. Okay, and let's extrude this lower polygon now. Right, fix the size. And that should be fine, a very simple bracket. Maybe let's scale it a bit smaller on the bottom here. Looks good. And chamfer all the edges. Just by 0.1 centimeter. Okay, let's group this part together. And move over here. So the dimensions for this bracket are a bit different. Let's see how it looks if we simply scale it. It's not too bad. I think we can work with it like this. Maybe let's fix the central part. Maybe let's make the bulge a bit larger. Looks nice. Right, so that's the bracket. Right, so now there are these shelves. For the shelves, I'm gonna create a simple rectangle first. Okay, let's unfreeze the splines layer so we can snap to it. And convert a rectangle to editable spline. Let's outline to match our drawings like this. Right, let's add extrude modifier. So if you draw a rectangle here to measure the depth of the upper cabinets, it's about 35 centimeters. So let's select this object and set the extrude amount to 35. All right. Convert to editable poly. Let's connect these corners. And remove these edges here. Right, so that's the basic frame. Let's make the box for the back. Okay. And let's make the shelves. And from the top view, just the vertices to fit your shelf depth. Right. Shift plus move to make a few copies down. Okay. Let's assign our wood material. Select the whole thing, add edit poly. Right, so for these polys we're gonna use horizontal UV map. Good. And for the rest, we're going to use a vertical map. Okay. The shells are a bit too similar. Okay, let's use separate UV maps for the shells. Right. Let's convert the whole thing to editable poly. Add edit poly modifier and select all the edges. Let's chamfer them by 1 millimeter again. Okay, and let's group this thing together. Let's see how the mood material looks on this part. Okay, and a simple box map will work just fine here. And let's set it to vertical. Perfect. Right. Should be a simple base for this object here. Something like a box. Maybe let's set it to 2 centimeters thick. Chamfer all the edges. Okay, like this. And fix the mapping. Right, good. And copy over here. Right, now let's make the rest of the shelves. Simply copy it. And for the smaller shelf, I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna make a copy, add the symmetry modifier. Flip it and adjust the center point like this. Right.